All right, we are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another week here at Wired Differently. We have me, Christina Blue Hooper, your resident business designer, or as Steve Sims put it, how did he say this? The Sherlock Holmes of businesses before they even know what their business is. I love that so much. And then Mindset Melanie Branch, you're a mindset coach that can help you get your brain to behave so you can do what you need to do. And our other one is not here at the moment. She is dealing with some home repair stuff that always comes at the wrong time, right? Like whenever they're supposed to be there is never when they show up. So she may pop in at some point throughout today's show. But in the meantime, we're going to dive straight in. So today's topic is what to do when your products and services don't feel right. And I think as somebody who's experienced this multiple times and this time had the support of my awesome business partners to help pull me through it. Yay. This is something that I'm really kind of excited to talk about because I think sometimes we don't even realize that this is what's happening. So I know, like Melanie, you observed this with me because I was feeling kind of like off with some of the stuff at the academy. It didn't quite feel right to me. We knew I had some mindset gremlins and ADHD, autism stuff playing. Like, what did you see me doing that made you be like, look, all right, what's going on?
There's usually a tipping point. There's usually one thing that happens that signifies to our brain subconsciously, usually, that like, hey, we got to pull back. And for you, it was the loss of your dad. So anybody who doesn't know, her dad passed away on my birthday this year. So even though we're already inextricably linked for the rest of our lives, now we really, really are. And as a person who's lost a parent before, I understood that was really going to put the brakes on a lot of what we were doing for a little while. Because I mean, I don't want anybody to be pushing at 100% in their business when going through something as life changing as that. But so I gave you a little bit of time.
He was living with me too.
Yeah.
So that was like the extra curve as he lived with me. I was taking care of all of his stuff. So it was like a huge shift in not just losing a parent, but in my day-to-day life, which as we know is Neuro-Spicy. When our day-to-day systems, like Melanie had helped me build for a year and a half, were challenged and shifted, and some of them were starting to fail. That meant my support network that I had created internally with the stuff I do in the mornings and the stuff I do in the middle of the day and stuff I do late at night, all of that upended at the same time too.
I think a lot of it has to do with unreasonable doubt and unreasonable expectations and we talk about this all the time. These overnight successes, they're not overnight successes. Chapel Roan's been singing for 10 years. All these people have been working very, very hard. And then the moment they get their recognition is the moment that we think it all starts, but it doesn't. So, I just launched a course, Overlooked to Iconic, and it's getting great results for people. But, I had the unrealistic expectation that I'm just going to wake up to 5 sales every single day. I'm not running ads, I'm not posting 10 times a day about it. And when you're in it every single day, you're in your business, you're in the launches, you're in the ideations, you're thinking about it 24/7. We get this misconception that everybody else is too.
Yeah.
And it's not. So, we launched the Academy a year and a half, however long ago it was, and it wasn't an overnight success. And so we kept trying this. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And we never gave anything a long enough chance for all the reasons, who gets into the blame game, not me. But it was recently where I was like, listen, every time that we want to think about why the Academy hasn't been what we wanted it to be, we could come up with, well, it's because this, and this. But the reality is we keep taking our foot off the gas. We keep getting really close to a fantastic outcome. And then the panic kicks in of like, oh my God, well, what's going to change about my day-to-day life when we have 100 students on campus every single day, right? Because our brain is worried about the responsibility and that we're not strong enough or capable enough to follow through with it. But in reality, we wouldn't have this dream if we weren't meant to fulfill it.
Yeah. I mean, having a school is something that I've dreamed about for a long time. Like, I know me and you have like found stuff in like my Google Drives from, what was it, like 10 years ago, where I was launching like Sparkative University. And it's something I know that like you had planned to do and stuff too.
Sorry. I have a sick kid at home. If you can hear, I'm sick too, but something's going on with the volume on my phone and I'm struggling to hear you.
All right, there we go. Move it a little closer.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so, I mean, it's like we both had that dream of having a business school. We had talked about it, we had thought about it, like, I was starting to launch one 10 years ago with, like, Sparkative University, like, educating and empowering entrepreneurs is something that was super meaningful to me. But even I didn't fully understand just how meaningful until Melanie challenged me and said, like, "Look, we keep taking our foot off the gas. What is going on? What is happening in your brain?" And I'm like, "Well, I wanna have this and 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 this available for students, and until we have all of that, like, it just feels incomplete to me." And she's like, "But we already have this and this and this." And students are already getting results, and they're already like little nuggets of stuff. Students have been telling me stuff on campus. They're like, "Yeah, you remember that thing you told me like back when I first joined? Like, I'm so thankful I did that because now that I'm in this situation, that has saved me so much like money and stress and worry." And it's been, just little things like that. And Melanie's like, "You're already making an impact. We are already doing good things. We are already helping students. We need to be helping more."
Yeah.
Like, with
There's
what we
also that push to where everybody's like, everything needs to be automated and you can't be doing one-on-ones anymore. And you have to do this and you have to do this. And we've seen it since 2023. You create a course, you launch a course, you're making thousands of dollars a day and you're not even working one-on-one with people. But we have to remember it's 10, 20, 30 years out when you're not working one-on-one with people anymore, unless you're like a miracle witch worker. I mean, and I don't want to not be working one-on-one with people. I don't want to not be spending time with people and learning and growing and that sort of stuff. So really evaluate what everybody says is happening and what you really want to happen.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you have to be talking to the humans that are in your world. You have
Yeah.
to be, right? I think one of the biggest things that happens, and this kind of happened for me, was that exactly what you're talking about. I felt like I was on campus all of the time because, we didn't have the courses and stuff when we first launched. We were on campus, we were coaching, we were talking to people, and it was getting where it's like, this is a lot of my time. Especially in the beginning when we don't have as many students and it's like I'm not making as much money as I'd like and I'm putting a lot of time in. I was like, we really need to get these courses in so I can pull back my time on campus. And then what happened when I pulled back my time was I pulled back my connection to my why. It's like being on campus and helping people and hearing my why, hearing the impact that I'm making, seeing things improve. Like, just since we started adding these new events back, that made a huge change because I was just doing like open office hours once a week and that was pretty much it. Now we are coming in on Mondays and I'm helping everybody do weekly planning. I'm coming in on Wednesdays and I'm doing body doubling with guided Pomodoro sessions. We're coming in on Thursdays and we're teaching them something new, something to help them with live coaching. Then on Fridays, we're doing blocker buster calls where we break down whatever's like getting in their way. And I am seeing some students that were struggling to make consistent progress have their most productive, most efficient, like best, happiest weeks ever just since we added those back. And it's like, this is why I'm doing this. This is why. This is my why. I remember now. And it's getting more exciting. It's getting more fun. It's getting more fulfilling. So, like, one of the things that we've got here in our questions was, how do we realign our offers with your personal values? And I forgot what mine were.
Yeah.
Like I forgot what I was trying to do. I forgot what I set out to do. I forgot that I am all about people, helping people, talking to people. So like if your stuff doesn't feel right, go talk to the people. Ask them questions because there may be something that you just don't see.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, it has a lot to do too. If your offers don't feel aligned right now, you've probably leveled up in a way that you don't want to work with people that are in that past level. I have a client right now who is launching a coaching business for divorced women. So obviously, the first thing that I said was, that's a big category of people. That's a big category of people. How can we narrow that down a little bit, right? And when you think, especially from the coaching perspective, the attitude and perspective and mindset and circumstances that you start working with people in is what they're going to be in the whole time. So you don't want to work with people who are in the throes of the transition, right? If I was a coach for divorced women, I don't want to work with a woman who just found out her husband's cheating on her yesterday and has to file for divorce tomorrow. That's not the type of energy that I can support or sustain from a person. I've seen it firsthand. My parents got divorced when I was 17. It was a wild ride, even wilder because I got back together 10 years later, but that's a story for a different day. But really think about the energy that your potential clients are in. And I heard somebody say the other day that she used to take people from stressed out to content or something like that. And now she takes people from content to fulfilled. And it's so important that you're thinking about who you're, especially if you're a service-based business owner, who do you want to be spending your time with? Where are they at in their life? What are their goals? Are they ambitious? You know, I help people with a glow up. So that means I don't need you to do your hair and makeup like me, but I'm going to work with people that want to do hair and makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people that see the
You
value
crazy. You
in,
don't understand it. It's like, why are you showing up every day look like a frumpy mess? Like, it
yeah,
blows your mind. You can't just sit there and like have a conversation with somebody when it's like every time I talk to you, you look like you just don't care about anything.
yeah. And you know, I knew it was impactful and definitely part of my brand because people come to me and they say, you know, whether it's on a clarity call to find out if they want to work with me or if it's on our first coaching call, literally people come in and they go, since I knew I was going to be here with you, I did my hair and makeup. How'd I do? And I'm like, oh, okay. That's so like if people associate that with me and they know that when they show up to a call, they want to look like they put some time and effort in. So obviously it's part of what I do for people. They see how impactful it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, and I
a
mean,
lot of
that's
it's
been a big
messaging.
shift to some of your offers as well. Like you've started incorporating more of like how you look, not just how you think and how you feel, but like look is part of that. It's part of your mindset. It is
Yeah.
a way to start healing it. And I mean, that's been true for me too. Like I was like very frumpy, didn't really care about what I wore, just kind of threw on whatever most days. And then I started working with you and started finding my style a little bit more, finding my confidence a little bit more. And now it's like putting on a costume, putting on a cosplay every single day of my life. I'm like, this is who I want to be when I go out. Like I literally went shopping the other day in my fun little witch hat because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I got so many compliments and everybody's like, I love your hat, I love your hair. And it's so much easier to wade through a sea of people at a grocery store when, you know, every few aisles somebody's complimenting you. It just makes the experience just be like, yes, thank you. This is my red carpet buggy experience down the cereal aisle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nobody knows if you dress up and put on a whole fit to go to the grocery store, nobody knows that you're just going to the grocery store.
Yeah, they're like, "Where did you come from? Where are you going to next? What is happening in your day? You must be
Yeah.
interesting." Right,
Yeah.
and you just feel better. Instead of
Yeah.
going to the grocery store feeling like, "Oh, there's so many people all over the place." I'm like, "This is my, like, fans. Watch me
Yeah.
go." Right? Like, it just triggers a different type of mental energy where you
Yeah.
just have fun. I'm, like, playing with little kids. Little kids are the best. When I go out in public wearing some of my clothes, they're just like, "Oh, Mommy."
Yeah. I do hear that. That does do something to like inner child Melanie when I walk by a family with two little girls and they go, Dad, did you see her hair? That's when I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let that kid know she can have pink and purple hair if she wants to. Thank you very much.
Yep. It's like little kids, nerdy people, because I've always got nerdy accessories on somewhere. So some random person will recognize some obscure thing from some anime and like my earrings. I'm like, oh, I love your
Yeah.
Demon Slayer earrings, or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
just like you connect with somebody.
Yeah.
And that happens in your offers, it happens in your marketing, it happens when you show up as you, right?
Yeah.
People are like, they start connecting with you. They're like, oh, you're my people. Right? Like, I know I'm safe around you. This is good. And so understanding your personal values is huge. I mean, I know for me, it's people, it's education, it's empowerment. If the stuff I'm doing is not educating and empowering, it doesn't feel right. Right?
Yeah.
Like I can just do things for you. I know how to do a lot of things, but that doesn't feel good to me, which is why
Yeah.
I didn't want to retreat back to previous offers, which I think is something that we see people do a lot.
Yeah.
You launch something new, it's maybe not working exactly like you wanted it to, it's maybe not making the money that you wanted it to, et cetera, and you're like, "I know this is supposed to be better for me, but the thing I was doing before made money, I knew what I was doing," and we kinda retreat back into other products, other offers that we had. I know I did, and I was miserable.
Yeah.
I was miserable. I was like, well, I mean, it's taking longer to grow the academy than what I wanted it to. So maybe I'll go build some websites, or I'll go do some of this, or I'll go do some of that. And it just didn't feel good anymore because the academy feels good.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, you start finding yourself, if you find yourself retreating, if you find yourself kind of pulling back, if you find yourself not confidently talking about your products and services, if you've got something to offer and you're just not really wanting to share it with people, or you find yourself apologizing for part of it, like, yeah, you can go to this page and you can kind of check it out, but it's a little out of date. It's a little, like, these are
Yeah.
all signs that you're out of alignment with what you're offering.
You got to be
Just something off.
passionate about it. You got to be able to like scream from the rooftops, here is this thing. But also, and you teach this in your blueprint, the origin is who you want to serve. It's not the product. You can't say,
Right.
if you're creating a business around a product, then the long-term success is not coming for you. You have to really figure out who you want to serve, then understand what their problems and their desires are, and then create something out of your own genius and your own expertise and experience. And then it's foolproof and it's guaranteed to work. But again, if it happened overnight, everybody would launch a business.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a good point too. I mean, it's like when we think about a product that we offer. So if you're a coach, if you build websites, if you whatever, and you're like, okay, this is the thing I do. Now who do I want to do it for?
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot harder to pull it into alignment. It's a lot harder to keep it in alignment as things change, as things adjust. What ends up happening is the world kind of moves you by, like a blockbuster style vibe, where they're like, no, everybody's always going to want to come to the movie store. That's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to get these DVDs. What happened with streaming? What happened with
Yep.
DVDs in the mail? Right? Like, even Redbox is going under now. Like, they
They still
stuck
have
to these
red
old
boxes?
models. Apparently, I saw a thing the other day where people are like, all these CVS's and Walgreens and stuff are stuck with these boxes full of DVDs outside that don't even work anymore. And they're like, they don't know what they're gonna do with them. And like, somebody gonna like,
I'm
what's
just
gonna
trying to
happen? There'll be
picture
some
like
scenes.
you're sitting there on a Friday night, and instead of sitting on your couch and scrolling through all your streams to figure out what you're watching, you're standing outside of a CVS trying to like find a movie that you want. Like, do people even have DVD players anymore? Your ice cream is melting in your bag. Get home. Go find it on the HBO Max. What are you doing?
I know, like, even computers and stuff don't come with CD drives or DVD drives or anything in them anymore. Like, I think even a lot of the game systems don't anymore. Like, so you really can't. It's hard to watch them. I think we have one external DVD drive for whenever
Yeah.
David needs to like pull stuff off in his computer, repair stuff that we can plug into a computer.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's it though, because like, if you're designing for your customer, you realize that they want the most simple, streamlined, affordable
Yeah.
option to
They want the
access.
result.
Yeah, to access whatever they want to watch, right? Like, that's the goal. That's what the customers want. And if you're talking to your customers, listening to your customers, and designing your office to serve your customer, you're always going to be doing what's right for them.
Yeah.
Always. Right. And you're looking for the intersection of what's right for them and what's right for you. And then you create products, and then you create services. And this is where innovation happens. So many people are like, well, everything's been done before. No, not really. And even if it has, that doesn't mean it's been done well. That doesn't mean it's been done the way you would do it. It doesn't mean it's been done for the particular type of person that needs it, that you can
Yeah.
help. Right? Like, we're at a really weird little niche of people. Can what we teach work for everybody with a business? Yeah. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. But it works best the way we teach it for
Yeah.
neurodivergent, ADHD, autistic entrepreneurs who need
Yeah.
things to function a little bit differently. It works best for ones that have not reached that like 10 case study level clients yet.
Yeah.
Like, they love it, the client loves it, the outcomes are, exactly what was promised, right? Which is huge, because most people don't promise an outcome and then deliver on it, which is wild when you think about it.
Yeah.
When you think about the fact that most people don't tell you, if you hire me to do X, we will achieve X. And then at the
Yeah.
end, did we achieve X? Yes, right? Most people don't do that. Most people
Yeah.
are just like, I'll build you a website. Okay, cool. I built you a website. Or let's do coaching for 12 weeks. Cool. We did coaching for 12 weeks. Did you feel good about it? Yes. Okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
Instead of making a promise that by the end of 12 weeks, XYZ will be true.
Yeah.
We really buy a lot of stuff that people have not told us what it actually is going to do for us.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. So let's talk about like if your products or services are not where they should be and you do need to innovate, what do you do? Right. So you're kind of nodding along like, yeah, I think I have been pulling back. Yes, I don't really love my stuff. Now what? Right. I think first step is what we keep saying, talk to humans.
Yeah. I was just
You
trying to see
really
if there's anything else that you could do, but it really just okay, let's take the proactive approach. First of all, if you have offers that don't feel aligned with you anymore, you may not know who you are anymore. So let's focus on you for a second. Let us, pull back, get a higher bird's eye view of everything. Are you excited when you wake up in the morning? Do you enjoy getting ready? Do you enjoy moving your body? Are you enjoying your relationships? Are you enjoying the way the people in your life are treating you? Are you pursuing your passions and new and novel, interesting things? Because everybody here has an interest-based nervous system. So if you don't have fun, exciting stuff going on, your brain is not going to give you the go-go juice to do the boring shit too. So let's pull back and say, have I grown? Am I in that uncomfortable spot between who I was and who I want to be? Because a lot of things happen there too. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself the way that you need to, because you can't take care of anybody if you're not taking care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know one thing that you said to me that always stuck in my head too is if you don't know how to take care of you, how is anybody else supposed to?
Yep.
Right. Like, and that's something that, like, even my husband and my kids have gotten on to me, like, why aren't you asking for help when you need help? And I'm like, because I don't even know what I need help with. I'm not even slowing down long enough to like think about what I could use some support with. And like, even like Melanie and Victoria were like, what do we need to help with? What do you need? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And it's like, well, I guess the thing I need help with is figuring out what I need help with.
Yeah. I
Right.
remember, okay, so when I used to work at a very, very, very busy restaurant, and I worked there for 5 years before I went full-time entrepreneur. And it was it's a big chain with a big menu and over 100 employees in the front of the house and over 100 employees in the back of the house, but I'll never reveal the name of it. Anyways, when I was still a newbie there, so like the first year that you're there, you're still a newbie, right? And we were in the middle of a rush. It was probably like the Saturday brunch rush or whatever it was. And this girl who had been there way longer than me and who had a nasty attitude about it too, she knows who she is. She came back into, the kitchen area where the servers are, right by where we box up food. And she goes, is anybody gonna help me? And she said her name. She didn't say me, and her name was Taylor, and she was real sudden. She goes, is anybody gonna help Taylor? And I remember looking at her and being like, nobody is going to volunteer to put the fire out if they don't even know where it is or what's going on, and everybody else is in the middle of a fucking rush too. Who do you think you are, man? Because if she would have just come back there and said, can somebody run bread to table 42 for me? Anybody would have been like, oh, I can do that on my way out there. Boom, bitch. So if you really think about, especially if you're in a place where, Christina, you are, where it's like, I don't even know what I need help with, then you at least need to say, hey, could we hop on a call for 10 minutes today? Or like, hey, I have this stuff that I want to do today. What would be best? And if you can't even start there, then just say, I need your help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you started sending me like text messages every morning. What's your plan for today? Just to get me thinking and get me like organizing and prioritizing my day. And I've noticed that I struggle to respond to that because I'm like, I don't know yet. I'll figure out when I get to my desk. I don't know yet. And I'm like, run around doing my morning stuff, animal medicine, blah, 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 usual routine. And I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, I don't know how to answer this. So for like 2 hours, I'm like, I don't know how to answer this. And I'm like, this is not going to be sitting here as an unanswered message 2 hours from now. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm going to say something.
Even if it was just, I'm sitting down at my desk at 11 today. Okay.
Yeah, but it's like, I want to have some kind of list by the time I sit at my desk. It makes me feel better. So I was like, okay, I'm struggling. Like, I know I need to do this and this, but I'm struggling to prioritize what to do with the rest of my day. Here's what I got. And you're just like, oh, well, do. And I'm like, that would have been 2 hours of mental marination. And I probably would have still got to my desk, which is what I usually do. And I would have clicked on and done almost everything else except figure out what my list was.
Mental marination.
So yeah, definitely like figuring out what's going on in your brain, figuring out like something else you said too, if you're not excited when you get up in the morning. And this has been something I've been marinating on again for a couple of weeks now, because like everybody always talks about these morning routines. I get up at like 4 a.m. and magic happens. And all the successful people are saying that they just get up at these ridiculously early times of the day and they love it and it's great and it's exciting and it changes everything for them. And I'm like, how? Why? What is the thing? And I'm always kind of curious about it. And I'm like, I think what happens is they get excited about their day and that makes getting up easier.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the thing. Because the more excited I've gotten about what I'm doing that day, the easier I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
The easier I get my stuff going, the easier it is not to go down a scroll hole and get lost playing on my phone in the morning, right? Because I'm just excited about what I'm doing that day.
Yeah.
I'd say, like, if you're not excited about what you're getting up and doing, or at least looking forward to it. Now, like, excited doesn't have to be like, yes, I get to write emails today. Woo! Right? Like, it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah.
But it at least needs to be like, oh, I'm going to get those emails out today. I wonder what that's going to do. I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out. Right? It can be that simple. It doesn't have to be bigger than that.
Yeah.
Welcome, Queen V, to the room,
She's
y'all.
here.
Yay!
Hi,
Hello.
V. So we are talking about what to do when your products and services don't feel right. So to kind of catch you up on the convo, we've been talking about, like, y'all helped me through this, right? Y'all saw me pulling back. You saw things not going, and you're like, what is going on? And I'm like, something doesn't feel right. I don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it. Mindset gremlins, whatever, but something's getting me. And what y'all saw that led to that conversation, about what do we do? And then, like, what do we do about it? And, like, walking people through some of what we did, some of what's going on, and getting into, like, once you've started to notice that you do have a product or service that you're falling out of love with, what do you do? So we've talked about the usual talk to humans, right? You're going to go talk to potential clients. That's one. Melanie pointed out you also need to look at yourself and figure out, like, are you at that space between where I was and where I want to be? And you're not real sure what's going on either. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to jump in and give some thoughts to this conversation?
I will say too, just this will warm you up, Victoria. So I've worked with a lot of people since 2021, right? And my business has evolved a lot. Who I work with has evolved a lot since 2021. And somebody that kind of was a client, kind of was a peer back in 2021, recently popped back up on my FYP on TikTok. And I like messaged or I commented on one of her videos. I was like, I'm so glad to see you back. It's so nice to see you here. And she commented back. So then I DM'd her just something like, hey girl, what are you up to now? La 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 la. And she's like, this and this and this. And you look great. What? And then she just commented, she's like, I see that you are, doing X, Y, and Z. And being able to keep people in your world or like reconnect with people from past versions of you is so helpful too, because it helps you recognize your growth, which we know none of us really like to recognize, let alone celebrate, but B, to help you see that you are on this track moving forward. And that, we're never stuck or in this position of like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, then I'm just a failure. Or why doesn't it? It's because you're growing, babe. That's why it doesn't feel right anymore, because you don't want to work with those people anymore because you've moved past them. You want to work with people that have also grown. Sorry, That's my soapbox.
No, it's, if you look at it, like, we make marketing and sales so much harder than it has to be.
Yeah.
We really do. If we look at it, and might be the problem, if we look at it in terms of how we build healthy connections and relationships, it's not really any different. No. You don't build healthy relationships and never talk to the people that are the most important to you or very important to you. You don't ignore them, or you don't go, just disappear. And so if something doesn't sound right, and I love what you said, Melanie, you have to know yourself. You really have to define what it is, who you are, and what you do, and what you want. And I think so many of us are listening to everyone else tell us what we should be.
Yeah.
And then we're putting that, and Christina, you talk about this a whole lot, putting out stuff that somebody else said you should do. And it's not, and I think probably more than anything, most don't have us focus on who we are and what we want and what we want to do. I had this, we were going back and forth. I was sharing something with Christina today, and the company that I was interacting with, I'll put it that way, made an assumption about something that is not even on my radar. I followed their process on something, and they said, "Oh, it looks like you need this." Have not had one single conversation with me. It was just, I guess.
And they reached out to you. That's what blows my mind. So somebody reached out to her to interview her for a podcast. And they sent her to an application page to fill in some information. She fills in her information. And one of the questions on there was, how many customers do you have a month? Now, we know our beloved Queen V works with a select number of higher end clientele. Yeah, 1 or 2 max, because she's putting so much energy in to each one. But on the side over here, she's also got the academy, but that's not part of her core business. So she answered on her core business and automatically redirected her to, you don't have enough reach. We're sorry, but if you'd like to book basically a sales call with us, please feel free to. We can help you with that.
Yeah, and didn't let me book the podcast, which is what they were like, click here to schedule your meeting, your podcast. And it's like, wait a minute.
That makes me wonder, if you had said 50, would they have verified that that's true? Or would they have just been like, hell yeah, come on, lady? I feel like the better question would be, how many social media followers do you have if they're really looking for, but anyway, don't get me started.
Even better. That's what it said on the page that it redirected to. Right. So it's like, as soon as she fills it in, it redirects her to this page to like book a thing. And on there, it says, we're sorry, but you don't have enough reach. If you would like help with your reach, we can help you book a 15-minute chat. And it's it
was like
they reached out to her. She wasn't reaching out to them. They reached out to her.
Yeah.
Okay, you should be able to see my reach or your perceived version of my reach. But just because my reach had nothing to do in this case, or what their perceived reach, their perception of my reach based on
the number of customers that you take.
Yeah.
Like, how delusional is that? Because like business models can work so many different ways.
I mean,
like yours is where you choose to only take 1 or 2 because you're getting really involved. You're running product launches. You are generating 250,000 plus in annual revenue for people when you get involved. Like, it's not a small thing. It's a big thing. But in the meanwhile, the other people who are in your world are getting referred to your partners. Are getting sent over to the academy. You're still generating revenue in different, to think that your business is small because of that one answer, one little drop down means you're too small to be a guest on a podcast when they reached out to you is just phenomenal and such a great example. I'm glad you brought that one up. Such a great example of being out of touch with your target clients and out of touch with what you want for your business. Like, why are we doing a podcast if it's that cut and dry and we're making decisions on who guests are going to be and not going to be on one drop down on a form?
No,
it's like the people that cold DM on Instagram. I had a guy cold DM me about how to grow my Instagram, and I just messaged him back and I said, I don't work with people who cold DM. And he messaged me back this big long thing that was like, yeah, I know. And I said, bud, I have over 220,000 followers on TikTok. I know how to grow accounts. And if you don't stop messaging me, I'm going to have to block you. And he's like, yeah, but and I was like, let me go see. Oh, you have 900 followers? Yeah, you must know what the fuck you're talking about, bud. And so I blocked him.
Yeah. I mean, it's like people just get so out of touch with humans. Just get so out of touch with humans. And I mean, like, if you're doing things like a podcast, especially, the entire point of that, if you're interviewing people on a podcast, the entire point of that strategy is to build connections with humans.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And when you
Right.
make an outreach like that, and then you immediately slam someone and say, like, you're not big enough for us, you don't have enough reach for us based on one drop down on a form.
And the thing is, it was so presumptuous, and I was like,
Yeah, because I
it was
mean, that's not
off-putting.
even your email list. That's not your partners who would share that stuff out for you. That's not this network of people that you've cultivated that will promote anything that you do. That's not your Facebook groups. That's not your like.
I wonder
So
what their
this is what
strategy
it
is to
means be
find
out of
people and reach out to them.
That's why I booked the call.
Yeah, Victoria went ahead and booked the call. She wants to
Because now
talk.
I'm curious, because all that did was make me want to get in and dig in and say, what's your point here? Like,
It feels like a scam. It feels like that's how they get people to book sales calls.
Yeah,
it is. But even if it weren't, using this strategy, that's what it feels like on the other end.
Yeah.
And you can say or pretend to be so caring with your words, but your actions are going to show
And
it.
the scarier part is, what if the reason this entire thing was born was because somebody was in a mastermind group and they're like, I really don't know what to do to get clients. And somebody said, you should try this. And they said, okay. And they put it together, because we have seen really like, I bet everybody listening right now would be like, that is awful. Why would anybody do that? And then I guarantee you they've done something similar.
Right.
Because we all have. We have all put something into place to isolate us from humans, to try and buy back some of our time because we're stressed out and overwhelmed. Because of all these reasons, we put things into place that take us away from the people that we're trying to do business with and the relationships that we're trying to develop. And sometimes it's just because people are asshats. It just happens. But sometimes it's literally because they just got bad advice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part.
It happens more often than not, which is how we got on this topic. It's like, this probably was some bad advice, but who knows? I'll get on the call with them to see what I feel about them tomorrow. Because if they're not listening, or if they're doing this, that, and the other, because it's like, who said I even wanted to do this?
Yeah.
Like, you haven't had one single conversation with me. And with scaling companies, and the thing is, it would have made sense to just schedule my interview and then schedule a 15-minute call and kind of at least make it seem like you cared.
Yeah.
But don't tell me you're going to take me to a page to schedule the interview and then not let me schedule the interview.
Yeah.
You know
what the process is. If you feel like I know when I had my podcast, I did have a lot of guests that were not great guests. And I probably should have done some type of pre-interview ahead of time. So if that's the case, where I'm getting a lot of people booking that are maybe not right for my audience, right for this show, right for many, which happens, right? When you have a podcast, there's more people looking to guest than what you realize. It's so easy to find people to interview. And you do kind of have to put some quality processes into place. But you can tell people what those are going to be. Like, hey, I want to make sure that we're going to collaborate to produce a piece of content that is really helpful for you and it is really helpful for me and my audience. And, let's have a little 15-minute chitty chat and let's see if it's a good fit. If we both agree, we'll move forward. Right? Like, how hard is that? Exactly. It's not, when you care about the humans, when you actually care about what you're trying to achieve. And I think another thing people really get stuck on is when we have something we're doing and it just becomes so formulaic that we get detached. Yeah. Right. Podcasts, social media posting, blog articles. These are all things you're doing on a consistent basis, email marketing, etc. When you set this goal of like, I'm going to do 3 podcasts a week or a blog article a week or 10 social posts a week or whatever, you start getting so systemized and routine and rote, and you start just forgetting and losing the passion, forgetting the people, forgetting the connections. Right. And so like sometimes you have to slow it down. Like maybe, I want to do like a podcast a week. Cool. But that doesn't work for me because I'm losing the humanity. So let's do like 2 a month. Yes. And let's spend a little bit more time with each guest. Let's do a little interview thing. Let's have a little time to chit chat. Let's develop these relationships instead of going super assembly line. Let's do less and make it more impactful. I think, especially in this world of, I don't have time.
Yeah.
Do less and do it better.
Yes.
Yeah. Or
Right.
add fun things into your what's the word I'm looking for? It's very easy. Into your processes. For example, everybody who knows me knows that I like TikTok and I like to scroll TikTok and I like to make content on TikTok and I like to go live on TikTok. I just love it. And one of my love languages is sending people TikToks. So if I have somebody from my world say they were on my podcast, or, you know, I think they would be perfect for one of my programs, and I know what they're interested in, I'll search up a video that I know would really interest them and I'll send it to them. And I'll say, maybe think of you. Like I have some clients who really want to like buy a bus and trick it out and live in the bus and travel full time and all that sort of stuff. You can damn well bet I'm going to go search some of those beautiful bus makeovers and that van life and that sort of shit. And I'm going to send it to them and I'm going to say, is this still something that are you guys still doing this? Right? Let's keep the relationship and the conversation going at the same time. Please don't do the boring, I'm following up with you. How are things? Ah, la, 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 la. Bitch, send me a TikTok and then we can talk.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's part of that deepening and nurturing a relationship with somebody, like actually having a genuine interest in who they are and what they do and why they do it. Even if the goal is to turn them into a client or a referral partner or whatever, you can still enjoy the human that you're getting to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You know, even if you're a little awkward like me at peopling, that's okay.
It's okay.
You can learn. Right.
You can learn, but at least, you know, like my first podcast guest, we are still in contact. Like
mine too.
We like I just genuinely, we really connect and we vibe on certain areas. And he checks in. He sent him an email the other day, and I was planning on reaching out to him anyway. Sent an email, and his episode was probably, if not my favorite, one of my favorite episodes. And it was the first one. Well, it was the second one because the first one was just me. But, you know, we keep in contact as, you know, friends almost. I won't say it's that close because, you know, we don't talk regularly, but there's always at least a quarterly reach out to see what's going, how we're doing, you know, and it's not awkward.
Yeah.
At all. At all. And we don't have to, and you said something, do less. That means that mean less clients. But if you can do a better job, you might charge more for it.
Yeah.
And getting into the weeds, I had a call. Why this is so important. I had a call the other day, and I know this person. I just met her a few months ago, and she was coming. And this is how easy this is to do, by the way. The whole point of this is how easy this is to do to get off track when you're coming from a space of heart-centered. Their programs are 5,000, 10,000, and 15,000. No, 5,000, 15,000, and 25,000. They don't have any lower tier products. And so they decided to come up with this membership. And I looked at the pricing and I just asked them questions because I let people come to their own conclusions. Now I know her enough to know what is going to suit her and her values that will allow her to show up as her best self. So she had a membership that was really, really low. And I said, well, how did you come up with that? And she didn't really have a way for how she came up with the pricing. They just put it out there. And I said, okay, well, why did you choose this option? And she said, well, because some of our clients said they can't afford to work with us. I said, well, do they need something that low? And she was like, I don't know. I said, I'm willing to bet they don't need something that low. Maybe they could do 5,000 a year, maybe 5,000 for a day. They're not ready for that leap. Or maybe they can spend 500, but what you're talking about doing, I said, now look how many clients you would need just to make X amount. And I said, you would need 100 just to make $2,500. You're not going to do it. You can't support that many people.
Yeah.
But she hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I was like, you would need 100 people 100 just to make $2,500 a month. That's gross. And how are you going to support 100 people? I said, I know you enough to know that this would burn you out and you would not deliver. And her product and service is all about delivering a product that honors yourself, your clients, and God, and your team. However, I said, this doesn't honor you. She was like, oh, I love you. So I'm like, go back to the drawing board and come up with something that honors you so you can honor your clients.
Yep.
Because if you're not honored, you're not going to do a good job. It's too much.
Well, there's two big points there. It's like, for one, this happens a lot, right? People that have higher end stuff or they start raising their prices, they encounter people who can't afford it and it makes them feel bad to be like, I'm sorry, come back when you can. Right? That's the simple answer. That's the easiest, simplest thing to do. I'm sorry, come back when you can. The next option is, I'm sorry, but I know someone who does work for people at your level until you can get to my level. Here you go. Let me send you over a referral for somebody who's specialized in that. The third and hardest one is, if you really want to do that, this is a separate department, we're not just launching a product. If all of your stuff is at this higher tier level and you want to now have this thing that's at a lower tier level, it doesn't function like your high tier stuff.
Yeah.
It's almost like a separate company, separate department, separate, like it needs different systems, different SOPs, different people involved with it. It's probably not going to be you, spoiler alert, because you don't have time. You're working with the higher tier clients where your expertise is most needed, not the lower tier clients where we can systemize and hire support.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one. Two,
and you're going to still try and fulfill so much. You're going to try and do $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 worth of work. It's the problem. That's what we see that every day.
And, and the things that I'm just like, they recognize we don't want a team. I'm like, okay, so all of this is going to happen through you.
Yeah. And that's not going to work.
It
never does. It never does.
It's not going to work. So that was sending them back to the drawing board and realizing the best thing you can do sometimes is to send them, which is how, we got connected, with the Academy, because I knew that it wasn't the best. I wasn't the best person to help like complete startups or whatever on my own.
Right.
I know.
I had trouble doing it on my own too.
Yeah.
Right. Like trying to work with like early level startups who, I mean, think about it this way. If we had an employee on our team that we had to pay $300 an hour, and we have another employee on our team that we pay $50 an hour, which one are we going to assign to client work when that client is only paying $100 an hour?
Right.
We cannot make money if we assign a $300 an hour employee to a $100 an hour project.
Yeah.
We have to put the $50 an hour employee in. As an entrepreneur in the United States, we've done the math. I'm not going to break it all down here, but we've done the math. You need to be charging at least $300 an hour for billable time for about 20 hours a week of your time, right? Directly billable to clients. You have to get compensated about $300 an hour. So you are assigning a $300 an hour employee to a $100 an hour project. And then you wonder why you're not making money. Funny. Every time we run the numbers.
And why you're not happy.
Yeah.
And why things are not aligned. Because you're burnt out and you're not making any money. That's one thing. It just doesn't work.
And the other thing I see people do a lot is, especially after they raise their prices, they're like, it was so much easier to sell it when I was charging less. True. To a point. Once you learn how to sell it to people who can pay more, it's actually easier to sell to higher priced clients because they have invested this type of dollars before. They know how to make these decisions. They know where the ROI is. They're not making decisions from a lack mindset. They're making decisions from an investment mindset. The number of sales calls and conversations that you have to have with somebody who's going to drop $20,000 on something is a lot less. The sales process happens faster. than somebody
Yeah.
who's going to drop $20 on something. You have to spend so much more time trying to convince someone that this $20, $200, or $2,000 is worth the investment than you do somebody that's going to drop 20.
Right.
And I know that seems weird, but it's true.
And here's the thing. The people who can drop 20 don't want 20K, 20,000, don't want $20 an hour people. They don't want the work. They are past that stage. Or because if that's your value, they're already past that. They were like, okay, do that for somebody else. They want it's a personal thing too, because they don't have the confidence. If you don't have the confidence to charge more than $20,
Yeah.
then you don't have the confidence to get them typically where they want to go. They don't want that at that certain level. So look at who you're looking at. And like with the academy, we purposely did it this way for at least the introductory period, because we know, but guess what? We're all really, this is a way for us to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not,
We
but
talked
all
about
of
this
us
before
are doing
too. People
something
either
else.
have time to throw at a problem or money to throw at a problem. So if
Right.
you are targeting people that have time to throw at a problem, that's when you're charging nickels and dimes. But if you're targeting people that know this is not their expertise, they need help, they need somebody who has like a system in place to get them there and can guarantee all this sort of stuff. If you charge somebody 20,000, they say, here's the check or here's the PayPal, whatever it is. And then they're not checking on you every day to see what's going on because they understand what delegation is. They understand that you guys are aligned. Nothing is coming from lack and scarcity. So like be really, really specific, especially for anybody who's doing like a course or anything like that. If you think you're going to make more money selling an $80 course than you are selling a $700 course, you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, and think about how the buying changes, right? For people who are like, okay, yeah, that sounds good, but my experience has been I was able to sell this at this price. And now when I doubled my price, I can't sell it anymore. They don't shop in the same way.
Yeah.
Somebody
Messaging.
who's like sitting here going to spend like stress over a $20 purchase isn't actively searching for the solution because they don't think they can afford it.
Yeah.
They're going to trigger on stuff like scrolling the social feed or opening their emails and somebody says something and it sounds so good. And they're like, I don't really have it, but this just sounds so good. So that's a different buying mentality than somebody who's like, I have this problem. I need a solution for it. I want to find the best provider. Let's go do some homework, right? Now they're going to go asking for meetings. They're going to be asking for quotes. They're going to be researching, Googling, sending their assistants to go research. If your social presence doesn't look good, if your website doesn't look good, if it doesn't communicate what you do and you don't look like you know what you're talking about, these people who are shopping for somebody to hand $20,000 to are not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And what Melanie would say, it's your mindset is not even the right place to even have the confidence to sell it.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not buying. They don't believe in you because you don't believe in you. And we know you don't believe in you because you're caught complaining about not being able to sell it.
Yeah.
You don't believe you're worthy of it because when you do, you're so confident in it that they'll buy based on confidence, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I have sold some ridiculous dollar amounts in my life of stuff that I'd never even done before. But I was really excited about the client. I was really excited about the project. And I was like, I've never even done this before, but I am so excited to figure it out for you. And this is what I do bring to the table. I'll figure this one piece out. And they're like, okay, I'll take a flyer on you. Let's do it. You really seem to know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, let's go.
It's, and I'm seeing this on social media. Are you charging by your hour or are you charging by your outcome? That's the shift right there. This is what you're going to get when you work with me. Yeah.
And then I want to correct something you said earlier. I should have corrected it earlier, but I'm correcting now. The 200,000 was like the initial. The goal is always a 7-figure recurring revenue. So I don't want to discount that. So
I was thinking about that one that you had that you stepped in and you did this like one thing, and then it was like $250,000 on the first launch or something wild. Yeah. And it was like, when you're putting that kind of energy in to work with clients like that, like, and that was the first launch of a product that stayed in the stack and continued to grow year over year over year over year over year.
Yeah.
Continue
that was launching one product that added $250,000 in revenue. Like,
and when you ask me what I'm charging, it's not going to be $50. or 100 or 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's when it came to this
Yeah, you
client.
don't charge $1,000 to deliver $250,000 in the first launch.
And then make it recurring to where it's generating over 7 figures.
Yeah,
Now
you're
you
charging
can
for
screw
the
that up.
experience that got you to that point because, like, this is such a great example too, because when you're doing a product launch, the actual tasks involved with the product launch, you can farm a lot of that out overseas, right? Because we're building landing pages, we're setting up email automations, we're putting out paid ads, we're like, these are all tasks that can be handled by $30 or less employees. But the thing that can't is the strategy behind what do we launch? When do we launch it? How do we launch it? Who do we organize? What are the steps? When are the steps? How does this make sense for the entrepreneur? How does it make sense for the team? How does it make sense for the target client? How do we keep everything flowing on track to the whole deadline? All of that came from 18 years of real world education
Yeah.
that you
And it's
need to
not
get
the same for
compensated
each
for.
one, each client.
Right.
It has to be customized. Yeah, there's a framework, but how you implement that framework and a lot of the decisions, like you said, that I'm making are being made based on almost 2 decades of experience that I can
Yeah.
pull and be like, you know what, no, we don't need to do this in this particular case because this, if we do this, this is what's going to happen, most likely.
Yeah. And think about it like this. Imagine if instead of 18 years of real world of experience, you went to 18 years of college and you had college debt that you had to pay off, and you came out of college with $500,000 of debt to get your 18 years of experience. You have what, 20 years of working left before you want to retire? In 20 years, you have to recoup $50,000 of debt.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about when we're talking about billing based on your experience and the outcomes you can create instead of the time that you're putting in, because you invested 18 years to get that knowledge and you need to recoup your
And blood,
investment.
sweat, toil, and tears.
Yeah, courses, education, masterminds, mentorship, lost
Failures.
revenue when you worked for clients and didn't bill it the right way and didn't make
Yeah.
the money that you needed to make. When you think about all of the costs that got you to this point, in the next 20 years, we're trying to recoup that and make ROI. We want return on those 18 years because my next 18 needs to be better than the last 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about billing for your worth and the outcomes you can create and the experience you bring to the table. Somebody cutting a $20,000 check or a $40,000 check or a $100,000 check understands that.
Right.
There's a
They
reason
do.
why there are entrepreneurs out there charging, and I know for a fact, and I can name names, there are people out there charging $100,000 for one day for 6 hours of consulting.
Yeah.
They're not doing any work.
Zero execution, nothing getting done. $100,000 to talk to somebody for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Because that knowledge has value.
Yeah.
And they go take that
do it without
$100,000
hesitation.
investment and turn it into 500,000, 100, a million, whatever. Like they duplicate it by so much more. And that's what we're talking about with return on investment. Your clients need to be able to invest in you and get a return in some capacity. Sometimes it's tangible in dollars, like what we're talking about. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little harder to quantify. Like Melanie works with people on a mindset standpoint. It's hard to quantify that in dollars immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really have to work. I have to tell people about their quality of life because that's really what changes when you work with me. You don't really know. I was live on TikTok right before I came here and I was talking about the 3 basics for your glow up, and it was mindset, environment, and not saying it's hard anymore. Right. So those are the 3 high level things that are really going to, and somebody said, I've been working on my mindset and doing affirmations, but I just don't understand it. And I said, okay, working on your mindset is like redecorating your brain. Some people just need a fresh coat of paint and like a new couch. Other people, we got to take it down to the studs. Affirmations are the new decor, but renovation has to happen before the affirmations are going to actually work long term. So we talked about shadow work. But again, all of my clients leave me and they're confident, and their families are doing better, because you're the leader of your family, whether anybody else wants to talk about it or not. And if you're sitting here thinking that your kids are acting like this and your partner's acting like this and your animals are acting like and you're reacting to them, no, they're reacting to you. So if you get your shit together and you start feeling really good and you start prioritizing taking care of yourself, they will follow suit and start taking care of themselves.
Yeah. And I mean, the money will come, but like you have to stay in touch with your clients for a year, 2 years, 3 years after they finish your programs to see the impact that because like so much stuff has to fall into place, has to improve. So it's harder to quantify, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Right. And so being able to understand the transformation that you're creating, be able to quantify the transformation and communicate the ROI in what you do, that's how you get clients that pay more. That's how you do stuff that's more aligned.
Care. See, it's hard to do this when you don't care or when you're so bogged down in like debt, like you're like, okay, I just need to make some money. I need to make some money. That caring nature is going to be very hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard because it's going to affect your ability to attract or even deliver.
Yeah.
Because
I'm never going to tell
like,
somebody
okay, I got
not to
this
go get that
I need
money.
to make some more money. Let me go on to the next client. And then you end up not taking care of the first one, and now they're upset. And so coming from a space of desperation is very dangerous.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is something that I think we talk about a little differently than a lot of the coaches that I've talked to in the past, because a lot of them will just say that entrepreneurship is struggle. They'll tell you the stories about how like they lived out of their car or they lived in like a crowded apartment with 5 other people and slept on a floor and I am never going to tell you that you have to stick to what we're saying so hard and so fast that you have to put your life in the situation where you're homeless, where you don't know where your next meal is coming from, where you can't feed your family. No.
Yeah.
We're trying to enjoy life. We're trying to be happy, right? There are things that you can do. Like you can go get a regular muggle job and it's going to suck. You can keep your muggle job and it's going to suck. You can pull back your emotional investment in these things. You can sell some products that maybe you don't fully love. Understand we don't love them.
Yeah.
Understand that they are funding the life we want.
Right.
Treat it that way. This client is investing in my future. I'll do a good job for them. I'll thank them for their service, and I will move on to the next one. You know what I mean? Like we're
And
never going to tell you
like
to get
said, this is
miserable
a
to get
stage
ahead.
in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we do have to be on campus at the academy now.
We do. Yes, we're like 5 minutes late humping over there. So for anybody who is not part of the Neuro-Spicy Academy right now, head over to neurospicyacademy.com and join. We are heading over for a body double session. We'll be running some pomodoros, and it is free to join for your first 30 days. So what do you got to lose, man? Come on over. We got lots of cool stuff. Come to the dark side. We have cookies. All right. We will see everybody again, same time, same place next week. Bye, guys. Happy statues. Where's the button?